Hi everyone, today I'm going to be sharing with you a sketchbook which I did in my third year, and this was for our pre-collection. So this is my third year work. Yep, that makes sense. So this is one of the sketchbooks, and this was for our pre-collection, so not our main graduate collection, but I had won an award with Paul Smith for this particular collection. So it's really special to me, and I also have the entire textile samples that I did for this particular collection. So these are just the sketchbooks that kind of show the initial work that I did for that, and you can find the actual samples on my channel as well, because I really wanted to go in depth into them and talk about them. So those are on my channel if you want to see those, and this is the development, and I'm sure if you have seen my portfolio then you might have already seen some of this work in there. So this is essentially how it got developed. So this is essentially the research that I had done. I was really into Chinese patterns, especially with the blue and white, which is also quite Japanese as well, and also indigo dyeing, shibori, tie-dyeing, and really just loving blue at that time. So very monochromatic, and that's pretty much what I was looking at, and it was almost everywhere on the runway as well, and some really beautiful techniques with pleating, fabric manipulation, batik, and just a whole array of amazing techniques. And then this was the starting point for my mood board. I started looking at a bunch of teapots, like my dad's miniature teapot collection, and I started drawing from them. So I started drawing teapots, but then I found that I really loved the patterns on them, and so I tried to sort of take some of the patterns and make them my own, essentially. So I really liked this rather than just drawing the teapots, because drawing the teapots was not as fun, but making my own patterns as well, which I really enjoyed. So that's just some more of the teapot drawing, and this was really just me experimenting. So I was just doing little doodles, as you can see, just a ton of doodles, and then I did them in blue as well, and I really liked how cute they were. Super cute. And then I made a print out of it, and if you've seen my textiles collection, you'll see that there is a pattern, there is a sample with that literally is this but micro, and it's so cute, and it's literally just made of loads of doodles, and it's one of my favorite prints I think I've probably ever done. So underneath here I have just taken, I took matchsticks, dipped them in ink, and I put some masking tape down as well, and I just literally like made patterns, and I thought it looked really cool. So these you might actually recognize in some of my prints. Don't know what happened here, but it's all experimentation. So a lot of this I developed digitally as well. So again, using masking tape, ink, toothpicks, matchsticks, and trying to do some experimentation in general, which to be honest was quite a lot of fun and kind of random at times as well. So that pretty much continued, and then I started drawing from blocks, like the block printing, and it's so much more detailed in comparison to the things that I was doing on the last few pages, but I love like the element of mixing those two together. And drawing even more from different blocks and patterns, and then also looking at colour ideas and maybe even mixing in like other colours that aren't necessarily blue. So this was essentially the colour palette that I kind of came up with, and this was just me playing around with colour proportion, like which colour is going to be the most dominant in the palette, which one you're going to see the most, which one you're going to see the least. So yeah. And then in the end I think this is the one that I had gone for, so you have more of this colour than you would of the other ones. You get my idea, but this was me sort of playing around with the proportions of the colour. And then I began dyeing some fabrics. So this is my research for that, and how long each fabric was dyed for, and which fabrics they are, because they are all very different. This is me dyeing tassels. Quite a few of them did actually fall out, and I actually put them into my technical file because we had a sketchbook and a technical file, but I did put some of these in here as well. So you can see those, and then me trying to see what some of my patterns would look like if I screen printed them onto the tassels. So these were essentially just little mock-ups. Some more mock-ups. And then some really quick mock-ups on Photoshop onto just some really quick designs that I did. So these are like sketches I did, then I scanned them into Photoshop and I literally just placed my prints on top to kind of see what would look best. And none of these garments made it into my final collection because the garments ended up being super different. So yeah, these are some of my sketches, and then these are some of the tie-dyed shibori pieces that I did. But I actually don't really like some of these, and I actually didn't use most of these ones that you can see here. And I wasn't really a fan of the green, even though it did look quite cool, but yeah, as you can see, some of this just I didn't really like. So this was the stuff that I didn't like, and then I have another sketchbook. So I'm going to combine this video with 2 sketchbooks because it's kind of pointless cutting it off. So then I began to play around with blocks and seeing how that would look, because I wasn't really that impressed with the tie-dyeing aspect. I thought my collection was going to be completely hand printed, but I wasn't really happy with that. Okay, that is the right way around. So lots of different, and then I really liked the idea of like layering as well. And then this was me trying to like figure out what would happen if I layered. So there's the matchstick print in the background, which I photoshopped with another colour, and then I put one of my like drawings on top of it in white, and then I pleated it as well just to kind of see how it would look. And I found that to be the most interesting thing. So this is just kind of seeing what block printing would look like, and then layering it on top of another print. And then yeah, as I mentioned, this was probably the most exciting bit when I started layering my drawings together on Photoshop, and it was something I really liked the look of in comparison to like the other stuff that I was doing. So I just really liked that, and I kept going with it, so pleating it and using my prints. This is like a teapot print which I showed you on the previous page, but pleated, so it kind of looks really cool. Well, I think it looks cool. Obviously you guys have your own opinions, but again, doing the same here. I was really obsessed with pleating at the time. You probably have seen some of these prints if you saw my print collection. Just layering things on top of each other. And then even mixing in other prints as well. And I did send some of my samples to get pleated as well, so this was just me trying to like figuring out which kind of pleats I would want, and also then trying to replicate them on the previous pages. And then this is some of my screen printing. So I actually used quite a few of the screen printed samples and also the dyed samples that I liked, and I combined them on Photoshop. So some more of my samples, screen printing onto a tassel, which by the way doesn't really work because the tassel kind of gets a bit like stuck and it's not free, and even if you do like separate it, then you can't see the print. So my tassels in my collection were completely like flat. Kind of liked that actually, but just saying. Obviously it's just super flat and that's how the print sort of stays on it, but if you do move it, obviously you're going to get the white bits show through or whatever. So more of my printing. I even foiled on top of this as well, but I just prefer the way the digital one looked. It just looks cleaner as well. It's not so like messy. Again, this is my research into Japanese kimonos and block prints, I believe. This was a very long time ago, can't actually really remember. Looking at runway as well, and then looking at shapes. So this is how I developed the shapes for my final collection. Trying to do something a little bit different with the shapes. My drawings are absolutely awful, but this is what quick drawing looks like. And then, yeah, this is just me referencing some of the block prints and the more traditional types of clothing, and also how it would work, so like where the seams would be, things like that. So like figuring out where the zip would be. Obviously on the waistband it would go through the zip, unless the waistband was detachable. But I think about these things so much more now when I look through my old work, like that actually, you know, I look at that and I go, well, that actually wouldn't work if that wasn't a if that wasn't like a waistband that was detachable. It just wouldn't work. But these are things that I've obviously learned over time. But yeah, looking more into like the construction, and that is pretty much where it gets left off. And then you can see my final ideas in my portfolio, so I'll link the portfolio video in the description section below, as well as the print collection for this project as well. If you like this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!